Something has shifted in the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan. For weeks, there were no arrests, no Amber Alert, no official suspects, just silence. But now, subtle cracks are beginning to form in that silence. A mother vanishes off the grid, new witness statements surface, and behind the scenes, pressure builds from the public, from investigators, and from those who still believe that someone knows exactly where Lily and Jack are. They vanished from their trailer home in rural Nova Scotia. No broken windows, no signs of struggle. Their scent traced only to the end of the driveway, where it stopped cold, as if they were taken, not lost. 6 weeks later, their mother disappeared too, this time with her youngest child, Meadow, and she hasn't been seen since. This isn't just another cold case. It's a puzzle, and each piece is sharper than the last. Before we continue, if you're watching, take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and comment your perspective below. Where are you watching from? And what do you think happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan? Your thoughts matter, and together we can keep the light on cases that need answers. Now let's go deeper into what really happened on that quiet stretch of road in Nova Scotia, and why the silence around Lily and Jack's disappearance might finally be breaking. Their scent stopped at the driveway. Not down the road, not into the woods. Right at the edge of the gravel where the property met the world outside. It suggested one thing: abduction. Someone took Lily and Jack from that driveway, quietly, without leaving a trace. 6 weeks later, their mother, Malehya, disappears. She takes her youngest child, Meadow, and vanishes into silence. She has not been seen since. No phone calls, no messages, no pleas for help. She simply leaves. And despite the whispers that this case was growing cold, this is not a cold case. Investigators are now paying attention. Pressure from the public, the media, and the family is forcing even the quietest officers to look again, to recheck statements, to follow every lead, to question why these children disappeared without a trace and why their mother walked away. May 2nd, 2025. That's the day Lily and Jack vanished. Lily was just 6 years old. Jack was 4. They disappeared from a remote trailer near Gerlach Road, in the dense, quiet stretches of Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. This setting has become a key part of how the public understands this case, because it wasn't a bustling neighborhood. It wasn't a place where neighbors could glance out a window and notice a child wandering too far. This trailer was tucked deep into the woods, hidden by thick brush and old trees. No fences, no cameras, no streetlights, only shadows and silence. And the kind of isolation that can swallow up the sound of a door opening or the crack of gravel under tires. The very place they called home became a puzzle piece in their disappearance, a place where 2 small children could vanish and no one would see. The trailer itself told its own quiet story, cluttered, disorganized. It sat deep in rural Nova Scotia, surrounded by thick trees and winding dirt paths. There was no fence around it. No security cameras to watch the edges of the property. No neighbors close enough to hear a cry for help. At the back, a sliding glass door. Old, easy to open, easy to step through without making a sound. It was the kind of door you could slip through in the early morning hours, while the world was still asleep, without leaving a single trace. For Lily and Jack, it was the doorway to their small world. For someone else, it might have been the easiest way in. There were no exterior lights. No secure locks on the doors or windows, no surveillance, not even a cheap camera on the porch. The trailer was meant to be a home, but it was never built to protect 2 small children from the world outside. And that vulnerability raises a haunting question. How did 2 children vanish from a home like this without a single alarm being raised? The absence of cameras or neighbors meant that no one saw what happened that morning. No one saw who arrived. No one saw who left. It made tracing movements nearly impossible. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police could only classify it as a missing persons case. There was no clear evidence of a crime, no public suspects, no arrests, no Amber Alert, just 2 children gone. And a silence that grew heavier with each passing day. No charges were filed, no suspects were named, no Amber Alert was ever issued, and inside that trailer, investigators found nothing. No blood, no hair, no broken items, no overturned furniture, no signs of struggle. It was as if Lily and Jack had simply vanished into thin air, without leaving a single trace behind. Outside, the terrain was harsh, thick brush, fallen trees, uneven ground that would leave a trail if small children tried to wander off. But there were no footprints, no broken branches, no clues, nothing to suggest Lily and Jack ever left the property on their own. And that silence in the earth raised public scrutiny. Eyes turned toward Malehya, their mother. People began to question her timeline, her behavior, and what she might not be saying. 6 weeks later, Malehya left. She took her youngest child, Meadow, and vanished. No warning, no forwarding address. She cut off all contact with Daniel Martel, the man who lived with the family. She stopped answering calls from the RCMP. She severed ties with Child Protection Services, despite Meadow being under their watch. And before she disappeared, Malehya returned to the trailer one last time. She didn't come to plead for her missing children or speak to investigators. She came to collect specific things: birth certificates, school photos, 2 stuffed animals that belonged to Lily and Jack. Not clothes, not food, just those items. To the public, it didn't feel like a grieving mother clinging to memories. It felt like preparation, premeditation, a calculated step toward vanishing completely. Malehya's disappearance added a new layer of complexity to an already tangled mystery. This was no longer just a case about 2 missing children. It became a question of why their mother left. Where did she go? What is she hiding? The investigation expanded. For the families, for the investigators, and for the public, the focus shifted. Because Malehya's silence wasn't just quiet, it was loud. And in that silence, a deeper fear grew. That the answers to what happened to Lily and Jack may be tied to why their mother vanished without a trace. Lily was the talkative one. She loved the color pink. She filled every corner of that small trailer with a vibrance only a 6-year-old can bring. Her grandmother called her "my little princess," a child of light and imagination. Jack was different, quiet, serious beyond his 4 years. He rarely smiled, but when he did, it was as if the entire room paused to take in the glow. Jack depended on Lily. Where she went, he followed. Always. Their bond was inseparable, almost symbiotic. She spoke for both of them, while he watched the world with cautious eyes. And it is this bond that makes the idea of them simply wandering off into the wilderness so hard for those who knew them to believe. The terrain around the trailer was harsh. Dense brush, fallen trees, uneven ground. Even adults struggled to walk through it without leaving a trail behind. Lily was cautious. She knew her boundaries. Jack was dependent on her, following her every step. It was unlikely, almost impossible, that they would wander off alone. And if they had gone into those woods, there would have been signs. Crushed leaves, broken twigs, small footprints in the mud. But there was nothing. No trail, no disturbance, no clue that 2 small children had ever left that trailer. For those who knew them best, the conclusion became painfully clear. Lily and Jack didn't go alone, and they didn't go willingly. Malia Brooks Murray, mother of Lily, Jack, and Meadow, a member of the Seepnakotic First Nation, part of the Mi'kmaq community in Nova Scotia. She was once described as an attentive, loving mother, someone who kept a tidy home, who cared deeply for her children. But as you will see, that image would begin to fracture. Before Lily and Jack vanished, Malia's past was already marked by turmoil. Her relationship with Cody Sullivan, Lily and Jack's biological father, was unstable. 5 years of emotional strain, arguments, and fear. Those close to the family believed the relationship left Malia with lasting psychological scars. There were quiet whispers, concerns that Malia may have struggled with postpartum depression, that she carried emotional battles no one fully understood. And after Lily and Jack disappeared, something changed. Malia went silent. She became detached, distant. There were no public pleas for her children's return, no organized search parties, no tearful interviews, just silence. Then, in a calculated move, Malia returned to the trailer, but not to help search. She came only to collect specific items: birth certificates, school photographs, 2 stuffed animals that belonged to Lily and Jack, items a mother would need if she was planning to leave. Her actions raised suspicion, not just among investigators, but from those closest to the case: Daniel Martel, Logan, Darwood. They all voiced their fears, that Malia knew more than she was saying, that she might have orchestrated her children's disappearance, or at least helped cover it up. Some even believed she didn't act alone, that family members may have helped her hide the children or keep her hidden. Fueling these suspicions was the way Malia vanished, taking her youngest child, Meadow, with her, cutting off all contact with Daniel, the RCMP, and Child Protection Services. In the middle of this, Daniel Martel emerged as a key figure, stepfather to Lily and Jack in practice, though not by blood. He was the first to notice they were gone. Daniel lived in that trailer. In those cramped, cluttered rooms, he became the constant adult presence. And when the children disappeared, he cooperated fully with investigators. He took a polygraph test and was told he passed. He handed over his phone, his Google location history, his bank records, and social media accounts. He answered every question. He did not run. He did not hide. As suspicions circled around Malia's silence and family rumors grew, Daniel remained. a stepfather figure at the center of a mystery, determined to find out what happened to Lily and Jack. The case grew colder in the public eye, but behind the scenes, tensions were heating up. Then, in an unexpected move, Daniel Martel broke the silence. He didn't go to a press conference. He didn't call a news station. Instead, he turned to YouTube. Using an old account filled with forgotten Pokemon videos, Daniel began posting emotional comments during live broadcasts. In those typed words, his fear and frustration poured out. He accused Malehya of violating child protection protocols by fleeing with Meadow. He claimed Malehya knew far more about Lily and Jack's disappearance than she had ever admitted. And he didn't stop there. Daniel pointed fingers at Malehya's family, specifically her mother, Cindy, implying they were helping Malehya stay hidden, that they might be shielding secrets, or even hiding the children themselves. He believed his family's clothing had been taken to plant false evidence against him. But amidst these accusations, one critical fact remained. The RCMP has never officially declared the case a criminal investigation. There was no confirmation that the disappearance had shifted beyond a missing persons case. The silence from law enforcement clashed with the noise rising online. Meanwhile, in the background stood Cody Sullivan, the biological father of Lily and Jack. For years, Cody had been estranged from his children, a separation fueled not by neglect but by circumstance. Malia had cut off contact, and Cody had chosen not to pursue aggressive legal action, hoping to avoid conflict. In the court of public opinion, Cody's silence became suspicion, but the RCMP cleared him. They found no evidence tying him to the disappearance, no charges, no further questioning, yet he remained publicly silent, and silence in a case like this speaks louder than words, not as an admission of guilt, but as a reminder of the layers of family pain left unspoken. And then, when the world demanded answers, a voice finally rose. Belinda Gray, grandmother to Lily and Jack, and mother to Cody, stepped into the light. She decided the silence had lasted long enough. In her first public interview, Belinda shared the agony of being shut out, of not knowing where her grandchildren were. She described Malia's coldness in the days after Lily and Jack vanished. A flat, lifeless, "Yeah, I'm okay," when asked how she was coping. No tears, no urgency, no calls for search parties. Belinda couldn't understand how a mother could remain so emotionless, so detached when her children were gone. To her, Malia's silence was its own statement, a statement of something hidden, something broken. He did not believe, for a moment, that Lily and Jack had wandered off into the woods. She knew the terrain. She knew the children. She knew Lily was careful, and Jack was dependent. She knew the forest would have shown footprints, broken twigs, disturbed brush. If they were in those woods, she said, we would have found them in 10 minutes. For Belinda, the conclusion was clear. Someone took Lily and Jack, and someone close to them knows what happened. Frustration boiled beneath her grief. Frustration at being kept away from her grandchildren. Frustration at being excluded from the investigation. Frustration that, in the silence of so many who should have spoken, the truth remained buried. And so, Belinda demanded answers. In the end, the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan is not just a story of two missing children. It is a story of a family fractured, of a mother who vanished into silence, of a father left voiceless by circumstance, of a grandmother demanding answers when no one else would, and of a community still searching for two children who, by every measure, should have been found. No signs of a struggle, no footprints in the forest, no trace of two small lives that once filled a crowded trailer with laughter and color. Only questions. Questions that refuse to fade. What really happened on that quiet morning in May? Why did Malehya leave? And what is she hiding? Who, if anyone, is protecting her? And most importantly, where are Lily and Jack? If you've made it this far, your attention matters. These stories deserve to be seen and heard. We need more people asking these questions, more eyes looking for answers, and more voices refusing to let Lily and Jack be forgotten. So if you found this story important, please like this video. Subscribe to this channel for more true crime cases that need the world's attention. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from and what you think happened to Lily and Jack. Your perspective might be the one that sees a detail everyone else has missed. Together, we can keep Lily and Jack's names alive. Together, we can refuse to let them become just another cold case. Thank you for watching.